All right, we're flowing. And you might notice it's just me in the shot right now. We are gonna try something a little different today. Tara and my schedule didn't work out so well. So came up with a great idea. Let's each shoot individually, send each other 3 questions, and then each of us will answer those questions. I think it does get lost a little bit with uh the fact that this is more of a conversational show, the breadth and depth of the coaching experience both of us have. Mine in the health and wellness space, which is over 2 decades now. Same time with Tara in leadership and things of that nature, coaching in the real estate space and business and things like that. So this feels like a good opportunity for us to showcase a little bit of that, a bit more without either of us kind of interjecting there and things like that. So yeah, let's see how this goes. We'll try and keep it brief. It should be a nice tight 15, 20, 30 minute episode. All right, let's see what she said. When there are 20 things to do, how do you prioritize? I love that question because it doesn't just relate to business. It doesn't just relate to family life. There's all kinds of things within life in general, relationships, health, fitness, personal development, work. Um, there's always a long list of things to do. And when there are, and often there are, 15, 20, 30 things that need to get done, it is difficult to and can be overwhelming to find ways of cutting down through that list. Some of the things that I go to, if it's business, certainly, is this going to generate me revenue? That's always one of the first things that will get done. When it comes to personal and health, is this moving me forward towards my eventual goal? Or is this going to hold me back? Obviously, if it's going to hold me back, that gets bumped to the back of the line. Does this align with who I am? Does this align with who I want to be? If it does, it's getting moved up the pecking order. If it's not, back of the line. And you start filtering things out that way and being very intentional about prioritizing, and you'll find you'll be able to knock out the tasks pretty quickly. And then, once I have that list, it's okay. Can I take care of this in 5 minutes? If I can, I'll do it. If it's going to take longer than that, then I need to look through those filters again and start prioritizing which one needs to get done. Can I outsource this? Will I be able to give this to someone or something to do? Now we have, many AI possibilities and things of that nature that we can give things to do. So there's always that opportunity too. So can I outsource it? Can I take care of it within 5 minutes? If no is both of those answers, or if that's the answer for both of those, then all right, then I'm going to look at, is it generating revenue? How important is it? And then I think the thing that people need to really get their mind around is not trying to do too many big things in one day. And you'll find you actually, I'll back up. I think you spend a lot of time overthinking because it's overwhelming. You've got this huge list of things to do, and it's almost paralyzing that you can't take care of it all at once. So I think if you just say, and that's something I do, and not to go too much into the next question that Tara has for me, is just 3 to 5 big things that you can accomplish today. And believe me, you'll get them done because you'll make it your sole focus, and you'll galvanize around that. So that's kind of how I process things when I have things to do. And there's always things to do, right? Kids, day job, career, the health business, health practice I'm trying to grow. There's a lot of things pulling for my attention. So those are some of the ways I look at it. I've got to say, it's very difficult just to sit here and talk. I have a lot of respect for folks. I've only done it a few times, so I have a lot of respect for folks who do things unscripted. You see all these podcasters on, some of these talking heads. They just talk, talk, and talk without scripts. Very, very difficult. Okay, the next question was, once you've prioritized, what tools or processes do you use to make sure you can get those priorities taken care of? So I think it's less about tools and more about putting yourself in a position to get those things done. When I have deep work to do, when I have important things to do, and actually this happened just this morning, I had uh, some important calls to make. I wanted to make sure that I was physically and therefore mentally, because your sugar levels and your stress levels impact your mental health. I wanted to make sure I was in an optimal state for those. So I tend to fast now until 11, 12, midday. So I made sure I did that so I didn't have a spike in blood sugar, or didn't have a crash post that. Made sure that I was in good physical and mental states, and then I took care of it. So I think that's, something I'm working with corporations now on getting their teams to be more productive. And that's something, one of the modules for the course that I'm building out is making sure that we're paying attention to that during the workday. Because you think about, you have these mid-afternoon crashes or mid-morning crashes, you ain't gonna get shit done if you don't have the energy for it. So making sure we're looking at those kind of things and then attacking the list. Um, Again, going back to not trying to do too much at once, there's actually a physiological reason for that. So when we have to focus, we require glutamate, which is a neurotransmitter. It's an excitatory transmitter, um, and that accumulates in your prefrontal cortex when you're doing this focused work. When there's too much of it, there's too much of a toxic concentration. Your brain actually switches off. It's like a fail-safe or a safety switch, shuts down a lot of your neurotransmitters, a lot of those pathways, because it doesn't want to essentially fry the motherboard. Think of it that way. You've got this toxic buildup. Your brain saying, "No, we've got to shut this down." Then we have the glymphatic system that removes all of that gunk, and it can't just do it quickly. It needs a long session of rest. Typically, in your deep sleep is where most of that happens. So, trying to do these big blocks of focusing, you physically cannot do it, and then you're setting yourself up for failure. So it goes back to, how do I set myself up to accomplish this list of tasks I've got to do? So spreading that out, I'm very big on working intensely for 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes, then taking a 5-minute break, and then going at it again and again and again. And you'll actually extend the amount of time because you're giving your body a chance to kind of uh, clear some of that waste and that build up, and not let it accumulate quite so quickly and all at once. So that, things like going for a walk, making sure you're doing some deep breathing, some stretching, or even getting some exercise in. Like, before I have big meetings, I always want to make sure I'm doing some exercise that morning. I'll get up early, hit the gym, get the blood flowing, and I'll be raring to go for that meeting. Um, so it's a lot less about tools and processes and more about being in a good state to do things, getting the environment right, getting some music playing, some lo-fi kind of uh, uh, deep flow state music, things like that. So yeah, it's less about tools and process. I guess you could call it a process because you're using a process to get yourself ready for these things. But for me, it's all about getting into the right state to do these things. I kind of consider myself to be a very productive person. I think a lot of it has to do with how I'm setting myself up throughout the day to accomplish things on my list. And believe me, I always feel like I don't get enough done because there's always more I feel like I can do and I want to do. But if I actually look at my output, it's pretty high, and a lot of that, like, again, is because I'm setting myself up to be productive. All right, last question. What is your bedtime and wake up routine? So I'm a big believer in setting up your nighttime routine the minute you wake up. You want to get your circadian rhythm locked in. You probably hear that a lot. It's a very buzzy term these days. But we are meant to essentially follow the sun. right? So we have the spike of cortisol in the morning, and that peters out during the day. If you have a dysregulated HPA axis, you're going to have a dysregulated circadian rhythm. So one of the ways of getting that back and locked in is going outside and getting sunlight in your eyes within the first 20, 30 minutes of your day. Really, I have seen you can go to about 9 a.m. Those particular frequencies you're getting from the sun at that point, still going to do the job. But again, if you're waking up at 6, you want to try and get that sunlight as soon as possible. I don't get to do that as much as I'd like to, but my rhythm's pretty locked in right now. So that's one thing. Making sure a big thing. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But a big thing that I do now that I didn't used to do until 6 months, maybe a year ago, is brush my teeth as soon as I wake up. Now, that's not a hygiene thing. My thought was always, why am I bothering? I brush my teeth the night before. I'll just do it after I have coffee, and so I'm fresh when I leave the house. But the reason I do it is because it actually is a nice dopamine hit. When we wake up, we want that dopamine fix, right? And what do most people do? Straight on the phone, scrolling, checking messages. I try and delay that as long as possible, and sometimes I don't manage that because I'll see. We'll talk about my nighttime in a minute, but I'll see in the morning messages that came through that I didn't respond to, or I have it on do not disturb. But so again, I'm not perfect with this, but I'm just saying. But when you brush your teeth, you're getting something accomplished, which feeds that dopamine loop, and you're not then kind of searching for it as much as you would be throughout the day. And that's often what happens is we go on our phones because we're subconsciously searching for that dopamine hit. So if you can do something like brushing your teeth, something accomplished, even doing some stretching or light movement as soon as you wake up, you're going to get that dopamine fix. And like I said, you should be a bit more regulated. Then once all that's done, in the bathroom, come out and I'll do some meditation, 5 to 15 minutes usually, a guided meditation, deep breathing. I just find that really sets me up. Doesn't always happen if the kids beat me up, which is very rare. But when with the getting lighter out in the mornings, they are up quite early. I tend to wake up 5:30. Some days 4:30. Depends what I've got to do, but I get up early. So again, I'm very big on setting the scene for nighttime as soon as you wake up. And then I don't have my coffee until 45 minutes. Very conflicting research on this. You get a lot of arguments online about it. At the end of the day, it's about how you feel. I don't get the crashes I used to get. Again, I've fixed my sleep, so maybe that's why. But I just feel better if I wait 45 minutes. And again, it's actually a little bit of a dopamine thing there too, right? I don't want that hit straight away. I personally want my cortisol levels to rise naturally and peak naturally, and then I'll have my coffee. So for about 45 minutes, and again, I'm fasting now till 11, 12. Some mornings I'm getting up and going to the gym, get a workout in, depends on the day, but it's always brush teeth first. If I need to, get outside, get some sunlight, get some meditation done. And that meditation is very gratitude focused. Nighttime, try and be in the bed, 8:30. The kids tend to go to bed around that time too. And then for the next 30 minutes to an hour, it's just Amy and I having as much alone time as we can. Maybe we're watching a show together. Maybe I'm trying to make a move on her, which is most nights. But yeah, it's really just about having some time. And even if, to be honest, even if we're just on our phones, it's nice just to be together and let the day kind of just fade away. And we'll talk and whatnot. But yeah, we're asleep by 9:30 most nights, which I cannot tell you is such a positive move. Just for overall health. I've talked about it a lot on here. Your deep sleep, the most of it happens between 10 and 2. So every hour before midnight really is worth 2 hours. It's a common saying in the health space, but it's so true. Every hour before midnight is worth 2 hours because you're going to get more deep sleep. And typically I get about an hour and 20 to an hour and 45 of deep sleep. When I was going to bed at 11, 11:30, and I was also drinking a lot more, um, not a lot more, but a lot more frequently, and my deep sleep was maybe 35, 40 minutes. So I attribute a lot of that to the reduction in alcohol, but also just going to bed much earlier. So yeah, and blue light glasses, I wear those. You know, the blue screens can really have an impact. They flicker a lot, and that leads me on to my last point that I'll make on this, because it is very related to nighttime. I replace all of the light bulbs in the house with incandescents, so no more LED lights. Those LED lights flicker, and I'll challenge you this. Take your phone, go in slow motion, and film your light bulb, and you'll see how much it's flickering. While you won't be able to process that while you're looking in real time around the room, your nervous system is picking up on that, and that really does keep you in that fight or flight. So removing those has improved everybody's sleep. And anecdotally speaking, I can tell you that because the kids would sometimes not be able to fall asleep straight away. They do that a lot quicker now, a lot more consistently. So that's another thing to do. But yeah, this was fun. Again, it's really difficult just to talk at the camera. So you're going to have Tara next. I haven't actually sent her the questions yet, so I will do that. And Tara, take it away.
We're flowing. We are running with powerful questions this week. And Paolo gave me some great, powerful questions. The first one being, what are the three biggest challenges that my clients face or that I personally face when it comes to being productive? And how do I coach my clients or coach myself through them? So I love this question because there is a huge difference between being productive and being busy. A lot of my clients, and myself included, can get very caught up in doing a lot of busy work, which feels good because you're getting things kind of accomplished or crossed off that task list, but it's not actually the things that are going to move the needle. So really looking at what it is that you want, need, must be productive in, and identifying, is this something that you're fully committed to? Like, where did this come from? Did you decide this was something that you wanted? Did your coach tell you this was something that you should do? Your mentor, someone online, a book that you just read? Really identifying, making sure that you are actually committed to this thing that you're saying you want to be productive in. And then once you identify, like, yes, I am committed to this, then looking at what are the things that you might have standing in your way? What obstacles could get in your way? Who do you need to align with? Who do you need to let know that you're doing this thing? Do you have the support that you need? Not doing things kind of just as a secret agent. You really need to make sure that you have the leverage and the support around you. You might not need anybody. You might just need, like, probably a time block on your calendar to sit down and do the very next step. And I think that the very next step can be a challenge for a lot of people when they don't have clarity around what it is they want to accomplish. So it feels very overwhelming. So they just kind of push it to the side and they do the small things that make them feel better about getting stuff off the task list, but doesn't actually move their life and business forward. So once you've identified what it is that you want to be productive about, not busy, and then put a SMART goal around it. Is it specific, measurable, achievable, attainable? Is it realistic and time bound? So get a SMART goal attached to it, and then you're going to want a time block. So time blocking sounds good, sounds easy, but a lot of people will time block and then just kind of forget about it or not protect it. So it's not just about time blocking, it's about time blocking and then really protecting that time, that really nothing else can get in the way of that. So really identify what it is that you want to be productive in. What is the very next small micro step that needs to happen? Where are you doing it? Where is it in your calendar? And then how are you protecting that time? If you must move it for some reason, if you erase it, you must replace it. It needs to go somewhere back in your calendar as a priority. So the importance of having white space in your calendar so that if a new priority comes up, that you can fit it in there without having to let go of something else. That's a win. Otherwise, you need to look and say, okay, by doing this one thing, does it impact any of these other things on my calendar? Like if I do this one major thing, probably take care of a few smaller things that are sitting on your task list or on your calendar. So, really just identifying what it is and when you're going to handle it and what specifically you're going to do, and then share that with someone that you can have accountability with. Um, Question number 2 was, if you could speak to 30-year-old you, what advice would you have for them? What assurances would you give them about who you are now? This is a two-part question. I'll go with that. This really made me stop and think. If I could speak to 30-year-old me, and the advice that I would have would really not change, I don't think, where I am today. Like, that's important to me, because the beauty and the gift is in the struggle. If anything, I would probably say be a little less trusting just off the bat and put some more guardrails in place, like legally written things on paper with what specific relationships are going to look like, and that's means specifically business relationships. So a lot of handshake deals that I learned a lot from, but probably could have been much smarter in how they played out, or and specifically how they ended. Um, just go do the extra, right? And it's great to be trusting. I want to be a trusting person. I don't want to be a distrusting person. I want to be an open person, a soft person, a welcoming person. And you can do that while also having some challenging conversations of like, well, what does this look like for us specifically beyond just, yes, we're going to agree to do this and it will just take care of itself. So I would give that advice. And then I would just say, keep stepping into the discomfort, keep saying yes. The reassurance is every time you said yes and felt terrified and did it anyway, that's what's making you who you are today. So just keep saying yes and showing up and figuring it out and doing it scared. It's how we grow. So that would be that. Second part of that question was, what would the conversation look like with 70-year-old you? So 70 feels like so far off. And then I have a reality check of that's really only about 20 years away. And we often will underestimate what we can do in 3, 4, 5 years and overestimate what we can do in 1 year. So 20 years is a lot of life to live. And if I was having that conversation with 70-year-old me, assuming that I'm now in my 70-year-old self body, looking back at right now, I think it's going to be very similar advice as to 30-year-old me. Just keep finding places that you wanna grow and things that are interesting to you, even those knee-jerk negative reaction places, right? If you're having a knee-jerk kind of response that's on a negative side, really not shutting down, really looking at like, that's so interesting. Like, why is that coming up for me? Or why is that making me feel that way? And really exploring that. Um, I think that I would probably tell myself to let go of certain things faster, and I do believe that there's some of that that only comes with wisdom and experience. Um, and to make sure that you're believing in yourself. And I think no matter what bridges you're crossing as you're growing, there's always a little bit of imposter syndrome and self doubt. And every time I kind of want to fall back into safety, um, luckily, I'm quickly reminded from my past experiences that safety is really not what I'm looking for in the sense of a traditional job terms, just because what I am here to do in this life is so much bigger than really what like a 9 to 5 can provide. So having success, Tony Robbins said this, having success is getting what you want. That's wonderful. That's great. We want to get what we want. But fulfillment is actually doing what you're made for, here in this on this earth with the people that you love and the people that you will learn to love. Um, so success without fulfillment is failure. Success and with fulfillment hand in hand. And I think my passion is helping people bring that together while also doing that for myself. And that doesn't mean not having hard and challenging times, but those hard and challenging times is what actually makes life so much greater and bigger and allows you to actually expand out more. Third question is, what's been the best and worst investments you've made in your personal and professional development, and why? Well, that's the same answer. My best investments have been the courses and the people and the time and the travel spent for certifications and getting in great rooms with masterminds, um, and completed those. My worst investments have been those same things where I didn't actually complete the certification or I didn't go and play all in. So there is literally no bad investment. I've learned from every room that I've been in. I think my advice there would just be you don't necessarily need more certificates, and you don't necessarily need more tools. You absolutely need tools as a professional, especially if you're in the coaching world or whatever profession you want to excel in. But most likely, you have everything that you need within you, and you just need to start expanding on that. So, 10% of your desired annual income is my goal of what you should be reinvesting in yourself for personal and professional development. So if you want to be making $300,000 a year, that's $30,000 a year in professional development. That's conferences, that's including travel, that's including continuing education, and just continuing to expand on things that are interesting to you, right? We talked about SMART goals. I also think S is specific, but it should be sexy, right? Like this should feel sexy. This should feel you should feel a draw towards what you're learning and what you're exploring. So the best and worst investments that you'll make in themselves are the ones that you use and complete. And the same is the ones that you purchase and that you don't complete or you don't kind of go all in with. So, those are our three powerful questions for today. And it was really cool to think about them for myself and how I talk to my clients about it. And I would challenge our audience to ask yourselves those three questions and go ahead and write down the answers or speak the answers into whatever platform you like and see what comes out. So until next time, friends, bye for now.